round 22 of 24 in this 2025 F1 Championship. Third Las Vegas Grand Prix following the circuit's debut in 2023. 3.85 mile circuit that the drivers will tackle 50 times in the race. 17 corners, many of which are in the tight and twisty middle sector before drivers reach a 1.2 mile back straight where cars can go north of 220 miles an hour. At the end of that straight, turn 14, likely the best chance for overtakes. Temperature is often a unique challenge going into Las Vegas. Of course, nighttime in the desert can cause some of the lowest temperatures we see all year. Current forecast is looking at about 12 degrees Celsius. That's 53 for our American friends in Fahrenheit. 2 years of racing here so far. One win for Verstappen and Red Bull. One win for Russell and Mercedes. But of course, absent from that list is McLaren. Two years so far, McLaren have had a double Q1 knockout, which led to 10th and a DNF in the race, and then a 6th and 8th last year on the grid, led to 6th, 7th in the race. So no top 5 finishes across qualifying or main Grand Prix in 2 years, and Norris has said in the build-up he fears they'll struggle again. Sam, are they vulnerable?
Well, you just stole all my stats for my point. So, yes, they're vulnerable. That's good. That's my point over. Thanks. Had that all written out, lined up, ready to go.
Say it again. Just pretend I didn't say it.
Yeah, I've had enough of this podcast. So sick to death. It's about tea to you two. You're always vulnerable. You. They should feel vulnerable. I really think so. I think, especially the fact that this has come at the opportune time where their pace overall as a team doesn't seem to be as strong as it was in the first half of this season. Whilst we've seen really good performances from Lando Norris in the last few Grand Prix, Mexico really stands out as the prime example, but obviously had a great weekend in Brazil as well. It feels like the car has not got the stretch over the rest of the field that it once had. Oscar Piastri struggling to get past the likes of the Mercedes when we were in Brazil. Got beaten by Max Verstappen, of course, who started from the pit lane, finishing P3. Could not get through the field, of course, in Mexico either, stuck behind the likes of Ollie Behrman. It just shows you that whilst they were such a strong package, and they are currently our Constructors' champions, they maybe don't have the overriding pace that they had previously, before the summer break really kicked in. So when you pair that with the fact that arguably Las Vegas is their least successful circuit since it came to the calendar in the last 2 years. And last year in 2024, it was their third worst points all across the entire season, only behind Japan and Bahrain, which were their worst 2 finishes across the whole season. It tells you that their car really doesn't function well here. Whilst they thrive on longevity with their tyre wear, their car not being able to overheat when they're right up behind other cars tucked in close. Actually, because of the cold temperatures that already run in Vegas, it feels like that advantage that they have is neutralized. It's almost balanced to the rest of the field. And the advantages that they have swing the other way. And it means that those other cars, where they have other advantages that maybe can't be displayed normally, can come to fruition. They can come to the forefront because they haven't got to worry about the level of tyre wear, the overheating of tyres, overheating of their engines, because Vegas, it isn't a problem. A bit like Mexico and Singapore, they tend to throw a bit of a spanner in the works. Vegas is kind of like the third of that trifecta of bizarre racetracks that are throwing up really weird race results. So whilst I don't think they're going to end up being outside the points, I don't think it'll be a walk in the park for McLaren.
We speak of their struggles here last year as well, and I feel like the 6th, 7th that they had in the main race, like that is maybe slightly, I don't say it's misleading, but it doesn't even tell the full extent of the story, because Norris is like 40 seconds behind the race leader Russell last year. Piastri 50 seconds back. That's a second per lap. And I know we've had a full year since then, but that's a lot of time to find. Like, that's not going to be easy.
No, and you pair that with the fact that obviously last year the Mercedes was far stronger. They won races last year on a regular basis, and they only got 2 here so far this season. And when they actually came to Vegas, which is one of the races that they won last year, they dominated. They were fastest in every single session. They were 1-2 in the Grand Prix, and they led every single lap of the race in a 1-2 formation, which meant that not even got close. I don't think the gap's going to be big enough this year that they'll be able to replicate that. I don't think that the team is strong enough. Of course, Kimi Antonelli is now the partner of George Russell and not Lewis Hamilton, so the experience is slightly less as well. There's a little walls in Las Vegas. But I do think that McLaren will still have a tricky time mounting a dominant offensive.
Harry, do you think as we head to this final part of the season, Norris has a right to feel like McLaren are a bit vulnerable here versus some of the circuits that we've previously gone to and the 2 that we've still got left to go?
I think so, yeah. I don't know if you know this, but in 2023 they had a 10th and a DNF, and then last year's a 6th and 7th. So they've struggled here in the past.
It's a wild stuff.
Thank you, thank you. I think that Norris has very, very good reason to be worried going into this one, especially versus the other two that we've got remaining. Obviously, the previous form suggests that they're not that good around here. But even if you look at this year where we've been, I'm thinking Baku, I'm thinking Monza, high-speed circuits. And I think with that massive straight, the massive drag down the strip here in Vegas, they may well be worried, because in those two races where we had, big long strengths in Baku and in Monza, they've not been the strongest. So I think Norris has reason to be concerned. The other strength of the McLaren they've had this year is their ability to keep their tyres alive in hot racing conditions. And as you've already mentioned, Ben, it's quite cold in the desert in the nighttime when they're racing. So we're going to see some pretty chilly temperatures, and that may well. No, I don't think it will harm them, but I think that advantage that they've had, especially during long runs, will disappear somewhat. So I think Norris has reason to be worried. This year overall has been, way stronger than the previous two, certainly stronger than 2023, and for the most part stronger than 2024. So that should give him some optimism going into this one. Vegas could also throw up some real surprises, as Sam said. It's like Singapore. It has some anomaly results thrown into the mix. So who knows what could happen? But I definitely understand Norris's concern going into this one.
I will say, with Vegas and what it's brought to F1 in the will be 3 years that we've gone there, I'm not fully positive or fully negative about what Vegas has done so far. But I will say I love it when there is something of a unique challenge on the F1 calendar, because I feel like they are few and far between nowadays. Now we've got 24 races. We're going all over the globe, different times of day, different conditions. This still feels like we're going into a weekend without really any idea what's going to happen based on this challenge of those cool temperatures. And I love that as a starting point, regardless of whether the answer to this question ends up being yes or no. I think they have a right to be worried based on what happened in the last couple of years. If it was one race or one qualifying session, I feel like you could say, yeah, it was a weird one-off. That's a trend, I think, 4 consecutive competitive sessions where they've really struggled to get in the mix. I won't repeat what you said on the managing hot temperatures not being a factor here, but it's absolutely a valid point. And the tyres that Pirelli are bringing this year are the same tyres that they brought last year. So if they struggled here in 2024, there's reason to believe they might struggle again in 2025. And if anything, McLaren might be happy that Pirelli backed out of the potential decision to bring the C6 compound that we spoke about on Sunday, how much Piastri didn't enjoy that tyre when we were at Baku a couple of months ago. So they're probably quite happy that that's not making an appearance this weekend. But even so, same tyres that they struggled on last year. And I'm not sure a direct comparison can be made between Vegas and another track, but I did look back at all of the races that we've had so far this year, and I tried to pick out what have been the coolest track temperatures that we've had across those first 21 races. And 5 of them stood out. 3 of them were Spa, Melbourne and Silverstone, which you would expect because they were all wet weather races. And that's not completely out of the question this weekend, by the way, but that is a unique challenge driving in the wet. So I'm going to put those 3 to one side. The other 2 that remain, Suzuka and Baku. And what connects those 2 races? Max Verstappen won them and McLaren didn't. Suzuka, you could at least say they were competitive, which is fair enough. And, Verstappen was able to manage the pace out front, but McLaren could have won that race on another day. But Baku, closer to Suzuka in terms of Vegas and track characteristics, it's power sensitive, closer in terms of the tyre compounds we're using. And we talk about Piastri's disaster weekend in Baku. Norris had his worst weekend that hasn't resulted in a DNF so far this year. So if it's anything like Baku, maybe McLaren do have a little reason to be worried. Let's move on to looking at Oscar Piastri, Sam, because we focused on him quite a lot in Sunday's show. Of course, time is maybe running out a little bit for him. He has that deficit to Lando Norris in the championship, just 3 rounds to do something about it. Is he at a point now where he needs to try and at least consider doing things differently to Norris, whether that's in terms of setup, in terms of strategy, or does he keep going with what he believes in, and if that ends up being the same as Norris, so be it?
If he keeps doing what he believes in, which is the same as he's done for the last 5 Grand Prix, stop that immediately, because it hasn't been working. You need to go back to the Oscar from the start of the season, the one that wasn't fazed by problems, the one that would just shut the car around the racetrack and you felt happy with it. I know that sounds like a far simplified version of what driving a Formula One car at full chat around a racetrack such as Vegas actually is. It's far harder than that. But he needs to unlock that again. He needs to get back to that state of mind. And they've won the constructors at this point, have McLaren, and his only rivals in the race is Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. And he sits in between them both. He needs to make sure that he puts himself in a spot where he can always be advantaged by anything they might do, whether it be Max going for a risky move or make that risky move that Max has to make on Lando, not on Oscar. You know, that by doing that, you're going to go out qualified perhaps, or you're going to be on a different tyre strategy. So maybe you're running long on the hard tyre. You might end up trying to stop under safety car. It's Vegas. There's a high chance we get a safety car here, especially if it does start to rain. So I do think he's going to have to think differently. I also think he now needs to become quite vocal in the sense that he will not align himself with the overall team goals here. It's no more fairness. It's no more, I'll take a back seat. If it goes badly in Vegas, you would argue that basically it's title done here. It'd have to be an absolute disaster for Lando Norris at Qatar or even in the final race Abu Dhabi for it to be any chance of him getting this back. So he's got to beat Norris here. He's got to take control of the situation here. Arguably the last chance he's going to get to make sure he is controlling this title fight.
Harry, we've seen throughout most of this year that the McLaren drivers have been essentially identical in terms of strategy, in terms of the tyres that they're starting on. Does Piastri look to change that up now?
I think he has to. Not that it's out of desperation at this point, but I think he needs to be doing things that go against the norm, and the norm being what Norris is doing. Norris isn't going to, throw any risky strategies into the mix now as we get into these last 3 races. He has he has no need to, and B, there's the risk that he could suffer for a bad pit stop, or it puts him back into the pack. There's too many risks involved for Norris. Those are risks that that Piastri has to fight against. Basically, if it doesn't work out, then I don't think we can blame him for not trying something different here. And I'm not suggesting he starts doing banzai moves and dive bombs that might result in retirements, but I think there's going to have to be some riskier elements to his driving throughout the next three weekends. So yeah, whether that's on setup, whether that I think it's less on setup. I think it is more on how he's executing the races. We saw the start, an element of it in Brazil with that move on Antonelli and Leclerc, which again I don't blame him for whatsoever. So I think there's probably going to be a bit more of that, a bit more of a differing strategy from Piastri, and he's got to do it, because without some divine intervention where Lando Norris doesn't finish a race, I don't think there's much more Piastri can do than trying something else.
Yeah, I was just thinking with Lando Norris, and you mentioned how he's not going to be in a position now to take a lot of risks. Like, what position would he take blindly going into this week? Like, I'm thinking if you just offered him P3 at Vegas, not knowing where Verstappen or Piastri were going to finish, would he take that?
Oh, yeah, I think Norris takes P3 in a heartbeat. You go, yes, please, thank you very much.
P3. No. I think he is close to where Verstappen is, like, desperately wanting that win now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Piastri, just based on where like the sprint calendar lines up as well, might be looking at this weekend to try something different too, because you do have a bit more opportunity to walk it back if it does go a bit wrong after P1, P2. Like, we've obviously come off the back of 2 of the last 3 have been sprints, and we know Qatar is up next, and that'll be a sprint too. I mean, Verstappen found out firsthand what can go horribly wrong if you do go the wrong way on setup on a sprint weekend. And it took such a miraculous effort from him to get back to where he probably would have wanted to be anyway. So Piastri can't really afford that. I think Vegas maybe makes a bit more sense to try something, see where you're at after FP1, be quite flexible about it. Don't commit yourself to anything, and then go from there. Because the last thing I'd want if I was Piastri was to end this season, similar to what you were saying, Sam. You don't want to get to the end of this season and say, could I have tried something a bit different the last couple of races just to see if that works? Like, you'd rather it end horribly wrong, but you've given it a go, than to not try something at least. So
yeah,
I'll be interested to see what he does.
If you look back at historically, when drivers who are in the commanding position of a championship, but they start to go a bit more conservative and safer, there's opportunity for that to go wrong as well. So if Piastri's going, I'm thinking 2010, I know it's the last race, but 2010, where Webber and Alonso do what is considered the safe option, pit early, and then all get stuck behind Vitaly Petrov for the remainder of the race. And Vettel nicks it by going more aggressive and not doing that. So there's a positive and negatives for both. But I think for Piastri, he has to bear that in mind. It's not always, it generally is the riskier option to be more aggressive, but it isn't always the riskier option, if that makes sense.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, very valid point. I mean, when we look at Verstappen as well, obviously the third person in this mix, he's 49 behind Lando Norris. I believe if that number is more than 58 after Las Vegas, it is mathematically championship over for him. So if Norris were to say win this Grand Prix and Verstappen finish P4, that would be done and dusted with a couple of races to go. Sounds like an obvious one, Sam, but I feel like we're at must win now for Verstappen. I'd almost say it's must win for Verstappen here with no McLaren on the podium with him.
If he wants to play himself into a spot where he can actually contend, and it isn't this conversation of, oh, he needs a bit of a miracle, he needs a bit of a DNF, he needs, something to go his way that's out of the usual. He needs a win. He needs McLaren to not finish, and probably in the top five, both McLaren. So they've never had a top five finish, as you mentioned. And actually, they've been so low in point scoring that Lance Stroll has outscored them in terms of the last 2 years. He has 10 points here. Lando Norris has 9. Oscar Piastri has 8 points here in the last 2 years. So that is how bad they've been. So if Max Verstappen wants to get a weekend to go his way, where they can't seem to get the car working in the right manner, this could be the spot to do it. It's only him and Leclerc that have finished in the top 5 both years here.
I feel like Lance Stroll is inadvertently going to decide.
Play a part. Something's going to play, like the Tiffy back in the day. Lance Stroll is going to play a part here.
He'll it'll rain this weekend. He'll turn into Prime Center, and that will mess up the championship order somehow. Harry, is this a must win for Verstappen? Is it almost freeing that he can kind of just go for it and doesn't really need to think about much outside of winning now?
It's kind of scary to think about, quite frankly, the idea that Verstappen has nothing to lose. I think we saw an element of that in Brazil with his strategy there. But yeah, he has absolutely nothing to lose, everything to gain by being typically Max Verstappen-esque aggressive. So I think he's going to go all out here. He goes pretty well around Vegas, as we've seen. So. And as I said just now, there's an element of those drivers who might be playing it safer, Norris in this instance, where if there's a 50-50 between Verstappen and Norris, and dare I say even Piastri, less so, but Piastri as well, I think they're jumping out of the way if Verstappen is coming through. So in that regard, I think that works in his favor, especially around a track like Vegas, where the chance of hitting a wall if it goes wrong is pretty high.
In the last 68 races, Mercedes have had 1-1-2 finish. And that came in Las Vegas 12 months ago. George Russell pole position, Lewis Hamilton in 10th, but Lewis Hamilton recovers to P2 in the race. A very comfortable win from George Russell in the end. Does that make him the favourite here, Sam?
I'm so annoyed at that qualifying. Lewis Hamilton, what a bottle job that was last year, by the way. Fleming led so many sessions and then you put it in. Oh, what a little rascal you were. Does it make him the favourite? No, I don't think so. I think with the form of these cars throughout the season, Mercedes still can't consider themselves to be outright favourite. But it does feel like they're beginning to get a little bit of a hold on the way this car is working for them. Entirely at the wrong point in this current section of development here. 3 races to go in this whole development cycle.
Versus Ferrari at Abu Dhabi is going to be great.
Woo! The fight of your life for nothing. Yeah, I mean, it's good to see they're feeling more confident and they are getting through the problems. So hopefully it should mean that we get a spicy race regardless. But I do think that Verstappen at a track where he feels confident where the car actually works, plus the McLaren, which has been dominant all season, still gives them the upper hand over the likes of George Russell and Mercedes. But as we saw last season with what I said earlier, where they absolutely dominated, Russell specifically really dominated, they've surely got to come into with some real hopes on their kind of side. But Ben apparently Toto Wolff thinks it's unlikely. I've not heard him say something like this before. He's never been such a negative man.
If this were a Patreon episode, I probably would have just sworn. But I don't care what you say, Toto. I don't believe a word of it.
He may be the biggest liar in Formula One when it comes to Mercedes form, because that man likes to doom and gloom. Doom and gloom. I think they can count themselves one in the mix this weekend. Again, not favourites, but I think with Russell on the form he's on, he showed how strong, and Antonelli coming into form in Mexico and in Brazil, how strong a parent they can really be. This track suits their car. It's cold enough. It matches everything they do well in, even in the wet or a cooler condition. I think this is going to be a real scrap between 2 or 3 teams at least for the win.
What do you think, Harry? Is there any chance that Russell and Mercedes are the favourites here?
I wouldn't go as far as to say favourites, but I think they'll be in the mix this weekend. The only thing that makes me doubt that is that Mercedes, where they've won this year, where George Russell has won, have been really hot races, which goes against everything that we know about Mercedes.
Do you know what the hottest track temperature's been this year based on what I was looking at earlier with the coldest?
No, but please enlighten us.
Canada.
Sure.
No, Canada was the hottest race.
Right.
Where? George Russell won.
So where it used to be the fact that the Mercedes could only be really good in cold conditions, it's almost like it's gone the other way. That being said, I think Sam's right in that I think the Mercedes has found some improvements as of late. But I'm with what you said, Sam. I think there could be several cars and drivers in the mix this weekend, which is excellent. So Mercedes and George Russell being one of them, I just wouldn't call them outright favourites. The thing is, I don't think there's any point this year I think I've gone, it's definitely a Russell and Mercedes this weekend. And so it's so hard to know where their form lies. But yeah, they've been in the mix for the most part of the year. So I would expect him to be there.
Yeah, according to the bookmakers, Max Verstappen is a marginal favourite this weekend, followed by Lando Norris, and then there's a bit of a gap back to George Russell, who's third favourite, and then Oscar Piastri, which I'll let you folks at home make your own conclusions about that. But yeah, George Russell is considered the third favourite from bookmakers this weekend. I think he could be the favourite. I mean, it was a very comfortable win for him last year. And what you said earlier, Sam, was right about how Hamilton really should have been there with him, if not beating him, who knows? But even if he did, Russell was 11 seconds back to Carlos Sainz in third, who was the nearest non-Mercedes. So this was a great performance from the team overall. Everyone else did seem to really struggle to warm up the tyres, and Mercedes didn't have that problem back then. We'll see if they have that problem this year or not. And this year has been really weird for Mercedes. Like, they haven't been on the ball so often. And then whenever they have been on the ball, they've been really good. Like, Canada and Singapore were not only wins for George Russell, they were relatively comfortable wins. When they've got everything together, it has worked out quite well. Also, both of them are street circuits. So, or Canada's maybe 50-50, but, there's street circuit elements to both of them, which of course is the same here for Las Vegas. And it goes a bit further than that. Like Australia earlier this year, Russell was P3. Miami, he was P3 as well. Baku, he was P2. So this Mercedes seems to go all right around street circuits. And I do agree with what you said earlier, that they seem a bit faster now than they were in the middle of this season. They really struggled during the European leg. Side note, if it was funny for a little bit, can we stop with the whole Antonelli only performs well when there's something in, what was it again? Like,
is it Mercury or something?
Yeah. And now people are trying to do the same thing for like Ollie Behrman. It was funny at the time. Like, let's just leave it now.
The weird part is, with the way the internet is these days, someone will genuinely believe that this is real.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like someone is praying that they have whatever chemical it is they're wrong about in their food.
So, yeah, if you're looking to see if Mercedes will be any good this weekend, maybe look to the periodic table or something.
Oscar Piastri is amazing when Mercury is in retrograde. So that's all I can tell you.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate a roving reporter on the ground letting us know.
More at 9.
Harry, is it Ferrari's best chance to avoid going winless this year?
Yes, quite frankly. I think the potential for chaos will help them. Leclerc has gone really well here for the past couple of years. As you said, Sam, Hamilton could well have won it last year had he not been a fool in qualifying. So as a duo, I think they've got good form around here. As ever, the whole not being able to have the ride height of the car at its optimal place is going to be an issue. Might be less so because it is a street circuit, so all cars are probably going to be running slightly higher than they normally would, so that's probably going to help Ferrari. But yeah, I just think that the slightly, not that we're going into an unknown now, but it is, as we said earlier on, a bit of an anomaly racetrack with the temperature. It's a street circuit, etc. I think, again, not saying they're the favourites or anything, but I think out of the last 3 races we've got, this could well be the best chance for Ferrari. I mean, Qatar, forget it. I only hesitate somewhat because the Abu Dhabi upgrades are probably coming. So who knows? just you wait. John Elkann commissioned especially upgrades. So yeah, who knows? But I think realistically, Vegas is going to be the best chance, just with the potential for carnage.
I've just got news. The Abu Dhabi upgrade is going to be late. It's going to only be available for the post Abu Dhabi test. Devastating news.
Rookie test topped by Ferrari. Yes.
Joy Elkann wins again.
Sam, the Tifosi are crying out. Can we please have a win? Can it come here?
No. Sorry, Ferrari fans. I don't see how this track suits your car at all. Your brakes don't work when you got to use them a lot. There's a lot of heavy braking at Vegas. And you need to lower your car's ride height, which makes it illegal. And you have to LICO. So that has to happen a lot here. So unless quite literally the whole field drives into each other and somehow you manage to get around them all, which Leclerc didn't do that last time, despite driving all the way around the Amazon rainforest to get past Antonelli. I don't think they're going to be in the mix. I think they're going to be struggling. I think they had a better chance the year before and the year before that, with both Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc doing well. And again, they did well the year before. I just can't see it happening. I think that Mercedes will be too strong. I think Max Verstappen will really suit this racetrack. And I think, again, Norris and Piastri will be there. So whilst they might be closer to the pack in front, even if it is a good weekend for them, they just have too many obstacles. It's, again, another case of there's too many other people in the way of them being successful. So for me, I'm sorry, Ferrari fans. I'm sorry to all of us that want to Tifosi win this season. I think the odds are against us.
The odds are always against Ferrari. Nothing's changed on that. I don't know. Maybe. Like, they just need to... Their plan, and it's a dismal plan, just has to be, we need to be there if everything else goes wrong for everyone else. But
it always goes wrong for them first. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, that is true. I mean, like McLaren, if they struggle as much as last year, if Verstappen and Piastri get a bit desperate, if Mercedes decide this isn't one of the races they can do this year, if all of that comes together, Ferrari just need to be the ones that are just there somewhere to see if they can capitalize on it. They were okay here last year, but their tires, they died pretty quickly, those tires. So I don't know whether I'm not putting them as the favorites, put it that way, but who knows? Leclerc, if it weren't for being knocked out in Brazil, might have had 3 straight podiums in the last 3 races, which he hasn't done at all this year and still hasn't done, but I think maybe could have done it if he was in the mix. We'll never know. I'm not keeping my money firmly in my pocket. I'm not going to put all my money on red.
Oh, there we go.
That's terrible.
Sam, I've got to ask you, multiple different special liveries in the midfield. We've got Williams, we've got Sauber, we've got Racing Bulls, all offering up something a bit different for Vegas. If you're to say your thoughts on those three.
I love it. Livery chat all day long, and this is great. Sauber, you put a checkered flag on your car, and I think it's time to wave the checkered flag to that car.
Well, they don't often see it, so.
I know, it's true. Right at the back. Maybe they had to make it brighter with all the black because of the night race. You know, you're going to notice apart from the day glow green. No, I don't like that. Not a fan. I think it looks a bit tacky, a bit trashy. A bit like a PS2 graphic that you might put on your car to change it up when you were doing a career mode. You haven't unlocked anything else. But you thought, oh, I've unlocked the checkered flag graphic. I'll put that on my car for one race. It does not look good. Looks absolutely pants. So hopefully both your cars will be lucky to see the real checkered flag. When it comes to Williams and RB, Williams, saucy. I absolutely love it. And these two liveries, almost like the inverting versions of themselves. Williams have gone ultra dark mode. It's got a little spruce of almost like a purpley blue down the side. I think it's really classy, really cool. I think it's great. They called it night mode, I think. And I think it suits Vegas brilliantly. I absolutely love it. Williams, whoever's designing them liveries this season, you're having a blinder. Absolute blinder. Good job. Can't wait for next year when we have this whole design change with the car. I think RB they just don't miss. They just don't miss. They're like blooming Alan Shearer in the Premier League during the early 2000s, just scoring goal after goal after goal, one hand in the air. Come on, top scorer. Honestly, every time it hits, I absolutely love to see it. They brought out another cracker. I think it's called the hologram livery.
Yes. Sauber, stop wasting my time. Stupid. Williams, 3 special liveries in 4 races is disgusting. It looks fine. I don't mind it, but just goodness me, stop that. V-Cub looks pretty good. They're like the one team that I'll allow more than one special livery per season if they can produce like 2 and they're both bangers. And they're at 3 though as well this year. You know what? No, V-Carb, stop it. You get 1 special livery per year. Harry, you love them all, right?
Noted down Tuesday, 18th of November, as we record this. Special livery fatigue has set in. Because I couldn't care less about any of them right now. So the Sauber one sucks. The Williams one, I disagree, is boring. V-Carb, you're allowed because it looks pretty good, but quite frankly, I don't care.
That's weird because Daggy Vowles called me up the other day and he went, out of the 3 hosts on Late Breaking, he's boring.
Oh, my kneecaps. My kneecaps are gone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
No, Daddy, no!
Pat Fry turned up with his saucepan and went, there's some fried eggs. So there's a bit of Harry Ede in there. Just knocking up a little breakfast here.
Ben just said, no, Daddy, no.
Can we not? Straight over my head.
Yeah. I'm just looking to increase the out of context. There will be possibilities for the future, That'll be needed at some point.
That's the whole show now. We're just trying to fit in as many out of context moments.
Pretty much. Should we do some bold predictions?
Yeah, we can. Oh, crap.
Gather around, little children, and listen to my song about my F1 bold predictions and how they'll all be wrong.
Now, there are 20 drivers, 10 teams, multiple sessions, qualifying, the race, safety cars, so many different ways we could go with these bold predictions. And I've got no idea which way Sam is going with his. Sam, enlighten me. What could your bold prediction possibly be?
It's not been mentioned before. It's not been discussed. So I didn't want to spoil it before we go here. That would be the worst end to a plot. But that kid, Kimi Antonelli, drives a Mercedes, right? You heard of him?
No, it's me, Kimi.
Oh, no. I think he might win in Vegas.
Didn't see that coming.
That, honestly, the double bluff, didn't even change it.
I'm stunned. I don't know where to go from here. Kimi Antonelli to win. It's bold. I like it. Harry, your bold prediction?
Not to be boring, but Control C and Control V, what I said in Sunday's episode, Ferrari win. I'm going for it here. I know I said that was my one for the rest of the year, but I'm as you said, putting it all on red in Vegas, and I'm believing that the win is coming for one of their poor tortured drivers.
Cannot wait to review that on Sunday.
The thing is, if they do win, John Elking will turn around and go, see, I told you. Say, shut up.
That's such a good point. Oh no!
He'll claim it as his own.
So what we need is both Ferrari drivers to be as talkative as they have been all year in the build-up, and then they win, and he can't say.
If they win, one of them needs to come over the radio and say, "Suck it, John Elkann," and then they can carry on the tap.
My bold prediction is that the top 4 in the race will be from 4 different teams.
Like that a lot.
Nice.
Pole 1, 2, 3, Sam.
Pole, Max Verstappen. The win, Kimi Antonelli. Second place, I've gone with George Russell. And third, I've gone with Max Verstappen.
I've gone with pole position, Max Verstappen. The win, Max Verstappen. Second, George Russell. Third, Charles Leclerc.
Oh,
Harry.
Pole, Oscar Piastri. The win, Charles Leclerc. Second, Max Verstappen. And third, Oscar Piastri.
Oh, for a minute, I thought we were going to predict a no McLaren podium then.
Wow. Oh, they're going to use this as fuel. Like after they finish 1-2, we're going to be on their social channels, aren't we? Just like
you doubting us.
Yeah.
Denied.
We'll take the engagement. It's fine. We don't mind.
Oh, listen, just tag us, whatever you do.